Freedom is the oxygen of the soul. Freedom undeniably has a bigger meaning in our lives, seeing as humans throughout history have always strived for it. What does freedom mean to you? Why do you strive for it? Why do you not strive for it? Is it worth giving up anything? Or is there something that should not be given up? Isaac Walker's character, or character theme, if I had to describe it in one word, is freedom. A representation of my personal wish for freedom, not bound by anyone anymore. As you've already seen in the sketch, probably, there are a lot of chains and threads that are symbolic for his feelings. The chains in his hands, standing for breaking free and regaining his own control. The threads that still bind him, though, they stand for the scars he received during his imprisonment, be they physical or mental scars. But before y'all fall asleep for my higher-than-thou ramblings of why I love Isaac so much, we probably should better get into all the juicy eggs you're actually here for. Isaac Walker is the brother of the main protagonist, Jamie, of my current webcomic, Twilights Moon, and the husband to the year-old Atlas, who I already talked about in that video. When Jamie and him were a lot younger, they both lived with their parents, who were both famous vampire hunters. Of course, as any good main protagonist and main protagonist's brothers, their parents are here to die. A classic story. One night, vampires under the leadership of two attack the house they peacefully live in. While Isaac managed to hide away Jamie safely, he himself was caught pretty soon after and dragged into the room where his parents were laying and taking their last breaths. From then on, Happy Isaac is a thing of the past for a while. The two vampires decide to keep Isaac, as his family's blood belongs to an old family line of vampire hunters who've been repeatedly noted down as having very good tasting blood. Apparently it's in the DNA. And so Isaac gets dragged away from home to become a living livestock for the vampires that brutally took his family. For years after that event, Isaac harbored hatred that slowly changed into hopelessness. Every attempt at escape was met with further punishment for him. Isaac, in these years, became a tool, a shell even, having to accept that he would forever be drained for his blood, knowing he could never go home. Even knowing that Jamie was still alive, Isaac knew that once he found them, other vampires would know of Jamie's existence. They would hunt for them again and again and again. And as Isaac slowly but surely got more quiet and subservient, and his suppression would only grow. Until he met Atlas. Isaac was around 18, maybe older, he didn't know. Time had flown away, and he had lost all means of grabbing it. His kidnapper had decided to leave, and therefore Isaac had to be left in good hands. So she contacted a few friends, apparently, and one agreed. She had assured Isaac that Atlas wouldn't harm him, but he decided only for himself that he'd be the judge of that. He ended up being surprised, though. Atlas, from what he seemed to be, was a kind-hearted vampire with a heart of gold. A simple and seemingly quiet man that didn't really pay attention to humans and made no contact in fear of growing bonds already mentally preparing for when Isaac would eventually leave again. But instead of being cold, Atlas couldn't help but be awkward. He hadn't been around a human in a while and didn't know how to act, so he tried to be as careful as possible. Isaac was surprised, but he wondered every night if it was genuine or just acted. Apparently, Atlas didn't know that Isaac was a kidnapped young adult, realizing his one chance to break free. And so Isaac kept acting, fearing what would happen if Atlas knew the truth. What she would do to him, Isaac didn't even want to dream about. When it was time to leave for a bit again, both had grown surprisingly closer through the time they spent together. The night before he had to leave, Isaac even cried. He didn't want to leave. This place, in a bunch of years, was the first one that he actually felt safe in, but he behaved the next day. Over the course of the year, Atlas and Isaac would spend more time, seeing as he had to leave more often. Slowly, Isaac opened up, as Atlas slowly started to recognize Isaac from a news show that had informed about the murder of Isaac's parents years ago, about it still being unsolved and his son still being missing. Atlas was devastated that day. He needed to do something. But what? As soon as she rang the bell to take Isaac with her once more, Isaac for the first time realized that once he'd gotten into the car, he might never get the chance to get out again. His attempt at escape failed, as he got dragged back into the place that had become his involuntary home. She threw him into his room and left him there without any words. Only half a minute he realized the door was still open, so he decided to wait until he attempted another escape. But he got found out. The other vampire of note had found him. Isaac knew that once he got a hold on him, his life would be over. So he ran, and ran, and ran, until he got caught, thrown to the ground, and cold fangs began to drink him dry. Somehow, though, he managed to kick the vampire away, not hearing at all what the vampire was saying to him, just thinking of escaping. He stumbled, then he fell. He felt something warm shortly after his fall. Was it the vampire? He couldn't die. He just couldn't. He needed to go back. He needed to find Jamie. He has promised to Atlas that they would find Jamie together. And then black. As Isaac woke up, he had unknowingly become a vampire. Atlas had saved Isaac by turning him into an undead, a vampire. Isaac only understood after attempting to go into the sun. At first he was denying it, then he bargained. Then anger settled in shortly, and then sadness. And after Atlas talked to him, he accepted it. He had to. At least now he could live again. Well, live in a vampire life. Until he got trapped again. Trapped by another vampire. Another vampire who wanted to protect him. No, that was a lie. The only thing he was supposed to do was live in the golden cage and stay there just like a bird, while being used to their likings. Isaac wanted to scream, become insane, but the bond that he still has with Atlas kept him sane, for better or for worse. You see, vampire bonds are special. If a bond is created, both will know of their partner's emotions and feelings. And through that one bond, Isaac knows he's not alone, that he needs to push through and stay sane. They are looking for him, and he will look for them. He will take things into his own hands, look for ways out, no matter how much despair he feels. Atlas' hope is pushing him to stay strong and strengthen his own hope. After all, he's not alone. And that, my dear he's and she's and they thems, is Isaac. Okay, I will admit it, damsel in distress character. Story-wise, I have to defend him a bit though, as he is in a domain created by a certain someone. Yes, you there in the corner. There's not really much Isaac can do, because the domain has its own rules that only the creator can control and bend to the will. But who knows? Maybe there really is another way out. I hope you enjoyed this. Admittedly, long script for mine. I really didn't know how long it would take recording, but I see that it has like a decent time. I hope that was a bit longer, but yeah, that was a first. Again, I hope you enjoyed it. Whew, boy. And I hope we'll see each other in the next one. Please also leave a like. This was like a pain to finish, and I've yet to edit this. Oh god. Yeah. Sky signing out. Bye.